like we're officially live, everyone. So again, feel free to ask questions. I'm going to dive right in now. Dev and Landon, I'm going to be introducing you as well. So introducing myself first, my name is Tom Zidron. I'm the Director of Project Delivery at Quality Builders here. Dev, who's also on the camera. Turn around, Dev, let's see your face. Is our on-site project manager. There he is. He works the day-to-day on all of our projects, doing a great job for us. Also, we have a special guest as well, Landon Viles. He is both the architect and our client for this specific project that we'll be showing you. But a little more about me, Dev, and Quality Builders, and then I'll hand it over to Landon for a second. We're part of Quality Builders, a GC tech company here in Chicago. Startup from a few years ago, but what we're trying to do is bring technology into the investing and general contracting business. Not something that a lot of people are doing right now, so we've put a lot of emphasis on that. So we have many things we're doing right now and many things we're trying to build for the future. So one thing I'm going to share my screen, kind of show you what I'm talking about, that we share with our clients in the day-to-day to keep everyone up to date with their projects. It's going to be we have a portal that everyone uses, all of our clients, that shows schedule updates. So we have this updated weekly for our clients, so they're able to see this as we're going through the project, keeping them up to date on what's going on this job site. You know, a lot of our clients can't be there daily or very often at all, so this helps them see. And in addition to that, we have our daily logs. So this even more so shows on a day-to-day basis what's going on in our projects. You know, gives them a little bit of a write-up on what's going on, what subcontractors are on site. And we like to include pictures, show a little bit about what's going on in the project. This is not this project; it's a different example, but just want to give you guys a little bit of a taste for what we like to offer our clients. So, you know, we like to work with investors. That's our main priority right now. Our goal is to help investors grow their portfolios as well as grow with us. So that's kind of something that we are focusing on. Hopefully, we can work on that with some of you maybe in the future. So I'm going to turn it over to Landon to introduce himself, as well as Dive Bar Studios, his architecture company.
You can speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for the introduction, Tom. Yeah, my name is Landon. As Tom said, I work for an architecture firm with a partner. He's on this call actually, Ludin. So there's my shout out to him. But basically, like Quality Builders, we are interested in working with investors. I am an investor myself, as Tom mentioned. I am one of the owners of this particular building. So happy to go into, answer some questions about any part of it, either the architecture aspects, the permitting, or the financing type aspect. But anyway, yeah, just a little bit of our work experience. Also kind of newly formed, have a couple of years, been practicing, but mostly in the Chicago area. We've done investment properties, restaurants, and as well as ground up stuff. So happy to take on any type of challenge, design challenge in the near future. Really opening our doors up for a lot of business coming this new year. So excited to talk to you guys about this project today.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. So as I mentioned, at this point now, I'm going to show you guys the plans. I'm going to go through. Landon, feel free to jump in if there's anything you want to add, but just going to kind of give you guys an overview of the actual plans, some renderings of what the project's going to look like in the future. Right now we're in the very early stages of the project. So as we walk through, after this walk through the plans, you'll see that really at this point we've just gutted the interior. So not a whole lot to look at in the interior right now. So I think it'll be cool for you guys to see the final plans and kind of what we're shooting for here. So let me share my screen again. All right, so here is the rendering of the outside. Dev and Landon, maybe you want to step out to the outside at some point here while I'm going through these. We can kind of show them the actual exterior. But currently, as they go outside, you'll be able to see the gray stone part of this. That is the existing building. So there's not currently a third floor on top. We're going to be adding that as part of the project. So here is your exterior. another rendering kind of the overall final project. So again, up to this line, you have your existing building. We'll be adding on the whole third floor with a roof deck on top, brand new metal staircase going up to all the way to the top, with decking on the back. And then the second part of the building will be your overall ADU building in the back. This is going to be a garage on the first floor, a 3-car garage, with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment building on top. So currently it's a 2-story building. We're going to turn it into a 3-story building, adding on the ADU unit in the back. So you'll have 4 total units. So definitely a very large project. Going to be a lot of effort put into it, but I think the end product's going to be great. So I'll just go through a little more of this, show you what we're talking about. Here's the back of the building, going for a black vertical seam, metal seam, siding on the top. So that'll be very sleek and cool looking to supplement the historic look of the existing building. Just kind of going through, again, you can see kind of the existing before and after. We'll be removing this back porch and replacing with a brand new steel staircase with some wood decking. And here's your ADU or garage in the back. So again, you have a 3-car garage in here with your single unit, 1 bed, 1 bath above. So that is part of the hiccups right now of zoning. I'll let Landon go into that more later on as we do a walkthrough. Just kind of showing you the final floor plans as well. This is the first floor, which we will also be duplexing down as part of this project. So you'll see 2 beds and 2 baths here, with another single bed and bath in the basement. Not going to be using the full basement for livable space. We'll have the back of it being a basement storage, access from the exterior rear of the building. But in addition, you'll have then 2 additional units on the second floor and third floor, both 2 bed, 2 bath. 2 bed, 2 bath. With an additional roof deck, as we spoke about earlier. Here's your first floor of your garage, have a 3-car garage. And then again, a single unit on top with a 1 bed, 1 bath, and then additional roof deck on top of that. So that's really the gist of the project here as far as the plan standpoint. You know, pretty exciting stuff. We finished the interior demo. I'll let I'll unshare my screen now and let you guys walk back in and maybe just walk us through the job site. We'll have them walk through again at this point, especially with them just walking through. I would love for you guys to join any questions here. Please write them in the chat and I'll answer kind of as we're walking, as they slowly walk through the property. All right, John has a question. Is this a house hack for Landon or a straight investment property? I'm going to field that one to Landon. So Jeff, maybe you can unmute yourself and see what Landon has to say about it.
Yeah, this is actually just an investment property. I do live nearby in the neighborhood, but I will not be occupying this. So it's going to be 4 units and they're all going to be rental apartments.
Great, great question.
So we just left the living room and this space is what used to be a dining room, but we're actually moving the kitchen here to kind of have an open kitchen living situation. And then where the old kitchen was in the back, which we'll get to in a second, is where we're putting a second bathroom. So as a rental apartment, you guys probably understand adding a bathroom or a bedroom can add a lot of value in terms of the return on investment. So that's kind of the idea there. And we didn't really feel like the dining room is really necessary, or at least not at this size. So it makes more sense to kind of reshift the layout. And the existing framed walls you see, the drywall has obviously been taken down, but the floor plan, more or less, aside from what I just mentioned, is going to stay the same. Try and reutilize a lot of the existing structure as much as we can. And same with the exterior walls, you know, basically leave those more or less untouched and really just put the investment or our money towards things like the interior and making it feel new on the inside.
Yeah, in this project, I think other than maybe, you know, obviously the new third floor, right, Landon, most of really not a whole lot of structural framing. It's mostly just some interior wall demo and kind of reconfiguring them.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a couple more questions, Landon, for you especially. Angel wants to know, I thought ADUs above a garage were limited to 700 square feet per zoning. Maybe you could touch on that. I know we were probably going to talk more about the garage ADU later, but do you have any
Sure.
thoughts on that?
Happy to hit that one real quick. It is limited to 700 square feet. And actually the plan that you've shown, we tried to, cut some corners or rather push the limits a little bit. And we're actually being asked to revise that design. The garage is not counted as part of the dwelling unit. So that itself is not part of the square footage. But basically in summary, we drew 700 square foot to the interior, the exterior walls, but they're, counting the entire footprint or the exterior walls included in the square footprint. So we do have to reduce the size a bit, but that's basically the limit. We're really pushing the square footage as much as we can to get that 700 square feet.
It was worth a shot. Very good. So let's see what else we have. So keep walking around. I think we had the kitchen back here. We're currently now, right, that was the existing kitchen that we bettered. Let's see, Terrell wants to know what does that cost for a full renovation, add-ons look like? So right now we're obviously in the early stages, so we gave a range to Landon. Right now this project overall is probably upwards of in the 700s to 800s right now overall. So that includes everything all in from finishes, from start to finish, as well as any fees for GC and permitting and all that fun stuff. Akia also wants to know about the length of the project. Good question. So we've been talking to Landon. Obviously, right now we're kind of waiting to get started. So just a long story short, I don't think I made it clear earlier. We have received an easy permit which allowed us to do the interior demo, but we're still awaiting the final permit for full construction. So some minor things that are holding us up. Again, I'll let Landon touch on that a little more in a little bit, but so we've kind of gotten started, but we're kind of waiting for the full go ahead. And once we do get that full go ahead, our hope is 6, but we're thinking, 7, maybe up to 7 months for this project. Ryan wanted to know what kind of criteria do you look for to determine it's viable to add a third unit on top? I'll let you field that one, Landon, if you want. I know that was obviously a decision you made at some point along this process. So wondering what your thought process was.
Sure. The biggest criteria would be zoning. There's not very many properties in the city that allow for that. The existing building is basically underutilizing the zoning. If you are trying to do something of a scale, which I'm not encouraging unless you're really, really ambitious, because as you can tell, it's a very large project, and it's kind of one of those large risk, potentially large rewards. But anyway, the major streets in Chicago are typically zoned higher than the surrounding residential neighborhoods. So this is on one of those major streets. So in terms of other criteria, as just an investor, we're looking at, aside from the zoning, just things like being near transit and being in popular neighborhoods. So kind of the same stuff that everyone else is looking for. But the zoning aspect was really our way of, in a competitive, investor market, trying to find ways to value add in which other people may not be exploring.
Great, thank you. So we're up on the second floor now. Similar layout, like we said before, it'll be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath up here. Reconfiguring it a little bit though, definitely to make it flow a little better, be a little more open. So, obviously when we finish the demo, the good thing about a gut rehab that I always tell people, when you got something, less likely you're dealing with finding pipes that you're trying to reuse that might be old, and it's something that we can't, inspectors aren't going to let fly. But even still, with a project like this, you find stuff that you weren't expecting. I know we were demoing the ceiling here. We had almost a lot of chicken wire with plaster in it, and kind of became kind of a huge pain in the butt to get down. So even when you're doing the full guts, you're doing the things you weren't expecting. See, another question from Ryan, kind of following up on his last one from Landon. He wants to know what this project zoned, what this property is zoned for.
Yeah, this zone is RT4. Most of the zoning in Chicago is RS3, which basically is limited to single family home or potentially a 2-flat. So this is the number at the end, basically the 4 aspect is really what you're looking for in terms of density. It allows for basically multiple units, more than usual. You know, obviously a high rise in Chicago is going to have its own zoning. So this is still at that residential scale, you know, and we are pushing the zoning FAR limits and whatnot. But yeah, this is RT4.
Great, appreciate it. All right, I don't know if
I'll
there's a
just-
whole, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, since we have the camera on this, I was going to mention that, you know, part of obviously adding the 3rd edition is adding a new stairwell up. So we're going to continue this winding stair to the 3rd floor.
Yep. Good. Jonathan had another add-on for you, Landon. He wanted to know if you had to get any variances, or if you had to or will have to right now for your project.
Not a full variance in the sense that we'll have to present to the zoning board, but we are needing what's called an administrative adjustment, which basically means like slightly breaking the rules or a minor adjustment. And we do need the zoning approval. And basically because this is an older building, it doesn't quite follow the zoning rules that a new building would need, specifically the side setbacks. This is built on the lot line. And because we're trying to basically build the 3rd edition following on top of rather the existing structure, it will be on the lot line as well. And that's not technically allowed. So we are needing specific approval. And that's actually been the biggest holdup in terms of permitting, is just getting that approval. Like I'm literally following up with zoning every single week and they just keep telling me you'll get to it next week. Yeah, this is one of those situations that's difficult. And of course, you don't really budget according to that. So there's been a little bit of you know, monetary loss, or rather just holding costs that we didn't anticipate. But at the end of the day, like I said, you know, this project was anticipated to have big upsides. We're able to absorb a little bit of that cost, but and we think it'll still be successful at the end. But like I said, just unanticipated.
Yeah, so that's the main holdup for your main permit, just so everyone knows, you know, originally, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, you went in with just 1 permit overall for the entire project. And really at this point now, we've broken it up into main building and ADU building. And then we even additionally added that easy permit on top for the demo, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We have a separate permit for the coach house and a separate permit for the addition / you know, rehab. And hopefully we're going to receive the main house first and soon so that we can really get moving and keep this going along.
Yeah, very good. So I know Brian just added on that he recently got a lot upzoned from RS3 to RT4, and that was a very slow process. So yeah, I mean, to be honest with I think everything with the city's been a little slow recently. I know, you know, we've had inspections being slow, kind of slowing down from our schedules and permitting on other projects as well. So I think overall it's just unfortunately an unknown that you got to go and kind of expecting it to be a little slow. All right, Angel has a question for using bat insulation or spray foam to meet the R17 at the mass walls.
At the existing mass walls, we are using spray foam, and you know, that's basically best practice would be putting insulation on the outside, but with existing masonry, you know, you're not really able to do that. But the addition on top will have a different wall assembly, and that's going to be the bat insulation with the 2-inch rigid on the outside. So I guess both to answer your question.
Yeah, fair enough. And then for the ADU, I can't recall which one we using for the ADU.
Yeah, the ADU is gonna have block construction, so CMU block, and then we're gonna also have the bat insulation on the inside and the rigid on the out.
Right. Perfect.
So basically, we intended to just continue masonry going up for the 3rd floor addition, but because this is an old building and it was only designed or structurally designed for 2 floors, adding that 3rd story is going to put more stress and strain on the foundation than anticipated, or rather than it was built for. So we're using basically frame construction because it's so much lighter than CMU block. So it helps our structural engineer highly encourage it in order to make this work.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? We have another question from Ryan here. Want to know if you find that garage ADUs mostly make sense on projects like this that are underzoned. They said that typically hasn't seen garage units as much in Chicago as maybe some of the other markets.
Sorry, what was the question? You haven't seen what kind of units?
If you find that garage ADUs mostly make more sense on a project like this where it's underzoned.
Got it. I am not sure that the ADU coach house is entirely connected to the addition. When we were analyzing the project, the deal only worked with 4 units versus just the addition or just the coach house in terms of the rent return we get back for basically the investment.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe in that sense it was important. But I will say this deal works because of the ARV and everything we're doing for it. But I've actually been challenged recently with the thought that, if you have $70K or $100K to actually build an ADU, would your money be better spent towards a down payment to another property? So I'm not going to say one is better than the other. And obviously,
Sure.
we are happy with the decision to do this, and there's a steep learning curve, and I think we've learned a lot.
Mhm.
It's just something to think about when you're considering where to put your money. So
For sure, I think that totally makes sense. All right, why don't we have you guys head out back? We can kind of talk more about the electrical pole relocation and maybe a little bit more about the ADU and kind of where that's gonna sit. And I will let the questions keep coming in. So, all right. Terrell also wants to know if you're able to start on anything renovation wise, or do we have to wait to get the go ahead for the permits? Good question. I can fill this one. So, in general, when it comes to permits, as a general contractor, there are certain things you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. And that's why we actually went ahead and got the easy permit, the go ahead for the interior demo. Obviously we need to have a dumpster on site, get permits for that as well. So, in general with the city, you're not supposed to really, there's certain scopes that you can work on without any permit. There's certain scopes you can work on with an easy permit. And then there's other things you need, actual full permit approval with plans to get started on. Structural is a big one. You certainly need you should have the full permit done before you take down any walls. You can take the drywall off, but you shouldn't be taking down any structural walls or even non-structural until you have plans in place. Similarly with plumbing, electrical, HVAC, any of that. Demo is one thing, taking out the existing, but as soon as you start putting back in running new lines, that's generally you generally need to wait to get started on that as well. So the real things you can do without a permit are some interior demo. You can take up flooring, some drywall. You can gut your kitchen, take out the cabinets, all that fun stuff, baths, stuff like that. If you're putting things directly back in place, that sink is going right back where it's supposed to go. That toilet's going right backwards. Any of those types of things, you don't even need a permit for. Any in place replacements don't even need a permit. So it's generally what you're comfortable with. If you start going after it, start doing your demo, and don't have your permit, you just run the risk of getting shut down by the city. We've seen it before. It's not a fun process. You're then forced to shut your whole project down, go to the city. Generally, you are going to them with they already have a bad taste in their mouth that you tried to kind of skirt past them, so they might be a little more stringent on things. So as a GC, we definitely don't recommend it, but to each their own. All right, so let's see, we've had multiple questions here. We'll field those real quick. Jan wanted to know, how long have we been waiting on the permit at this point? Good question. Landon, what's the official wait time right now at?
it's probably been 7 months or so. And part of the holdup was completing the drawings to the level needed for permit. So that put us a month or two behind at the start. But then, this whole process with the zoning variance and and everything else, and just getting the city final approval has probably taken us 7 months. And again, that was much longer than we anticipated. And full disclosure, we probably lost like 15 to 20,000 in holding costs because of it. So, like we said, we knew it was a risky project and we were willing to take that on. But I will say now that we're looking at our next projects, we're going to be a little bit more risk averse and think maybe do something with less, less work, more turnkey, maybe not completely turnkey, but definitely less of a renovation work. So
Yeah, very good.
at least until this is stabilized and
yeah.
refinanced, basically.
Fair. John just piggybacked off of it, asking about a little bit more about without the permit. I think I covered it for the most part, but yeah, I mean, any lighter rehab, cosmetic rehabs in general, you can do a lot of those without any permitting at all. As soon as you add in MEPs, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, if it's not like replacements in place, you're going to need permits as well. And any type of gut rehab, you're certainly going to need, full permits and plans and everything like that. So I think that's that kind of, once you start taking down walls and running new plumbing and electrical, that's when you start hitting the threshold of needing a permit and generally plans. All right, Todd had a question for you, Landon. If you're comfortable with it, he wants to know regarding your performa, what's the strategy about how long to hold the asset versus selling and redeploying the capital to another investment? So if you have an answer for that.
Sure. We have explored a couple different strategies. Ultimately, we are looking to hold and rent because we want the passive income. Now, that being said, we have recently sold our very first property and are in the middle of a 1031 exchange right now. And that will be, we made a good amount of profit on that so that we can put towards a bigger, better project, or rather just, multifamily versus the condo that it was. But in general, if it's cash flowing, we're trying to hold on to the assets and just sit on, that income. In terms of whether or not it makes sense to sell it, I think, a lot of it's just about how much access to capital you have. We are finding that we're at the end of our equities, and so we're having to be creative and look at other ways to acquire new properties and basically to get the loans that we need. But anyway, I think everyone has their own strategy and their own goals. So I think, some people flip houses and, that's also a good way to make some decent money. And I know Quality Builders has experience with that as well. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
like I said, we're exploring all options.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, we see, we work with homeowners with generally, obviously, our preferred client being an investor, flips, people with holding, holding and renting. So we kind of work with the whole lot of it. So Brendan had another question. Again, this is, if you're comfortable sharing, Landon, so that he was asking if you'd be willing to share purchase price range, or I think we did go over the expected rehab, but rental income and ARV and whatnot. So if you're comfortable with any of that or parts of that.
Yeah. So the purchase price for the property was $480K, so just under 500. And that was a really good deal. And, any podcast or book you'll read will tell you the purchase price is probably the single best point in which you can really make a project work. And so that was the purchase price. And then, like Tom said, we're probably going to put something like 800 into the renovation. So this is a very flipped proportion to what most people do. They'll buy a high value property and put as little as money into the renovation in order to make the deal work. But we're maybe just crazy. But anyway, so and I will say the construction costs were probably 10% higher than we anticipated. So we got 100K of equity just from buying it under market, under value. And more or less the construction will break even in terms of not adding a lot of equity. And we anticipated to get 200K of equity at the end of the whole thing. But to summarize, 1.3 is, we're trying to keep it under 1.3, and then it's been valued by the bank. The ARV value is going to be 1.4. So we are going to not be able to, it's not a perfect bird, and that will be able to take out 75%. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's a big project for us, and it's been a big learning experience. And I think we're still happy we pursued it.
Great. Did you want to share what you were hoping, you have your rents be after the construction's complete?
Full disclosure, I am the architect and my business partner. He's the numbers guy. He has a background in corporate finance, so he could probably tell you. I know we're at one point we started at like 9K in rents coming back, but I think that's actually increased because the rental market has increased.
Sure.
So, there are some things that you can't control and that don't turn out how you want, but some things happen to work in your favor. So, there's wins and losses.
Right. Very good. Well, so we can stop just looking out the same window, let's talk about the electrical pole back here. So this is another small thing I wanted to touch on with Landon, because it's something that going into the project, I don't know if you had thought about it, even Landon, and then when we got on site, we realized very quickly that electrical pole, or both electrical poles, are kind of right dead center, in the location where the garage is going to be. So Landon and myself, I know Landon's kind of taking the lead now on it, but he's been talking to ComEd about getting that pole relocated. And if you want to maybe just touch base on that, I know it's been a long process, another long process. So if you want to give us a little insight into that.
Sure. That pole looks to be on the lot line between our property and the next property, which would make sense why it's located there. But our property actually, the lot line jogs at where this fence is. And basically, when we're putting the 3-car garage there, that pole sits directly in the middle of one of the garage doors, the third car garage door. So we will have to get it removed. And because it's poorly located by ComEd, they're supposed to pay for the whole thing, but it's also taken 6 months. Now we have a date that they're actually supposed to remove it, and that's January. So I think it'll work out okay. But it's been difficult, to get a hold of people, and then ComEd actually hires out a third-party engineering group to move it. So then you're working with multiple parties, and like Tom said, it's been kind of a headache. We have seemingly made progress, but we can't open a building with one of the garages not accessible.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully that happens in January, and timing wise, I think, all things considered, it looks like we should be able to have that at least work out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the plans again real quick. Just to know, some people joined late and maybe missed the beginning part of that. So just so everyone can see that. If anyone still has questions, feel free to keep asking. So just another recap for anyone who joined late. This is the overall rendering of the final building layout in the front. So right now, the gray stone here all the way up to the second floor, that's all existing. So not having to do anything with that. It's a really nice looking older building, but we will be adding the third floor up here with the black vertical metal seams siding. Landon touched on it earlier, but we originally were thinking brick, but just with the older brick and the structural capacity of it, they had to go this route instead to not add too much of a load onto it. In addition, we'll give you some more renderings here. We're showing some side view of both the main building with the new third floor, roof deck on top, the ADU building in back, first floor being a 3-car garage, second floor, 1 bed, 1 bath unit, another roof deck for that, and metal and wood stairs going all the way up to both roof decks for each building. Just kind of breeze through these again, just so everyone can see. Again, existing building 2-story with a new 3rd floor on top.
Hey, Tom, you mentioned the roof decks. That's actually something I think is maybe worth noting. There's not a lot of rental buildings like ours that are investing in roof decks. And that was something we went back and forth on quite a bit because, is it worth the investment? Are we going to get the return we want and increase rents? And, we actually talked to a leasing agent who we've worked with in the past, and they highly encourage to do the one on the third story because we think we'll have a good view of, the city skyline and, we'll add some value. And if we ever do some type of Airbnb situation that, you could have a big group of people stay there and enjoy the roof deck. So that was one. And then in terms of whether or not it made sense on the coach house, that unit, it's not tiny, but it's definitely going to be an efficient sized unit. And that is one place when people are working from home or, potentially spending a lot of time there that, having an outdoor space we thought would also add a lot of value. So it's hard to maybe pinpoint the exact increased rent we get on it, but we know that it will make it that much easier to rent out in the future.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a cool feature to have. Going through here. So we'll just should go into, here's your actual ADU building in the back, what that's gonna look like here with the garage. Again, you can't see it here, but this is, your electrical poles currently sitting right here in front. So that's obviously why we gotta get that removed as soon as possible. We'll go through a few more of the slides here. So you're gonna have a 3-bed, 3-bath for the first floor as we're duplexing down to the basement with some additional storage in back. 2-bed, 2-bath for the second floor and third floor. John wants to see the plan for the coach house again. You bet. I'll bring that up here right now. The roof deck on both, the 3-car garage and here.
If we pause on the 3-car garage,
Sure.
it can help explain how much smaller we're going to get. Basically, on the south side of where that jog is, basically just where the car is clear, we're all going to have a 3-foot clearance. So basically where the door is on the right, that's where the wall is going to get cut off. So it is significantly shrinking in terms of what we're allowed to build, because as someone mentioned, we're limited in terms of the square footage.
Sure.
So this is an old plan again, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just show the plan view again of the unit here. So, as Landon said, definitely a little bit smaller unit, but certainly, I think still a pretty decent livable space right here. I think one more question we had above, I think on this one here, John also wanted to know, Landon, if you could describe the self-certification process at all, and wondering if you were able to do that with this project or not.
Sure. Yeah, when an architect is able to be self-certified, which in the city of Chicago, which basically means that they don't have to go through the formal building process. Now you have to take a certain class as an architect with the city in order to get that benefit. And unfortunately, one of the rules is you have to be a licensed architect for 3 years, and I'm actually less than that. So I wasn't able to take that course yet, but believe me, it'll be one of the first things I do when I'm able. Just because it will help, fast track this process. So, there was a cost savings, obviously, in the design fees by being an architect and being able to do the drawings myself. But there's been, the holding costs that I mentioned. It's a trade-off, because if we would have hired a self-certified architect or an expediter, which similarly is able to expedite the process through permitting, pay a little bit more money up front, but then potentially get the project done that much sooner. So
Sure. Yeah, I know we've had some additional clients go through the self-certification. And like Landon said, especially right now with how slow some of the, some permitting is going with the city, I think that amount of money you're spending probably extra for that self-certification is probably well worth it at this point. I think in the past, maybe, it kind of broke even, but I think at this point now, getting it that much quicker is certainly a benefit. Let's see, Akil wants to know about acquired property and seeking construction rehab. You could possibly assist with the project with fee contract. Certainly, yeah. I mean, that's one thing I always like to tell our potential clients is, we're investors ourselves. Every one of us, has our own property and everything. And at the end of the day, we've gone through the processes, the trials and tribulations. We kind of from start to finish understand lending, the architectural portion, kind of all the ones, we like to think ourselves as a one-stop shop that can help all along the way. We have plenty of great connections. We have people like Landon, other lenders we work with. So if you're in the early stages, like, we highly recommend reaching out to us. I will show you at the end of this a QR code to reach a consultation with us. So when I get to that point, please take advantage of that, and we're happy to talk to you through any potential project you might have. Let's see, one more question here. Yemi has you have a 3-car garage for a more than 3-unit building. How do you determine which tenant will park in the garage? Good question.
Yeah, that's a tough one as well. We have the benefit of being close to public transit, so we're hoping that potentially one of the units won't need one. That being said, the duplex down, which is the largest unit, 3-bed, 2-bath, we're definitely going to reserve a spot for that one. And then out of the remaining 3, potentially we'll put a dollar amount to that parking space, and whichever tenant is willing, or if it's $100 or whatever, is willing to pay that or add that to their rent they normally would have agreed to, then that's probably how we're going to resolve it. But you're right in that one of the units will not be able to have a parking spot. So maybe it's the coach house because it's the smallest unit, but I'm not sure. Like I said, at the end of the day, if they want to pay more for it, I think it's probably just going to be a matter of how we're leasing it up, and whoever signs up last might unfortunately get the short end of the stick.
Right, very good. Well, I know we still have some time here. We've walked through everything we wanted to. I think I've answered all the questions. If I haven't, please feel free to point me in that direction if I missed one. Otherwise, I'll give it another minute if anyone does have any additional questions for Landon, myself, or anyone. I think I'll probably close this up then. Feel free to still ask if you want to get one in at the buzzer, no problem. All right, we got one more. Jan Christensen, do you take a chance with the light pole? Meaning, could ComEd refuse to remove it? That's a good question. I haven't
At the end of the
experienced. Yeah, you go ahead, Landon. You can talk.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No, you're fine. You've been talking to him more than me, so.
I think at the end of the day, they have to remove it because it is blocking our garage and it's right in the middle of our lot line. Now, whether or not they would pay for it versus us having to pay for it out of pocket, that's, I think, the real question. And right now it seems like, we were told the money we had to put in was a deposit that we'll get back. But we'll see if that comes back to us. But it is important for us to get it moved. So we're, willing to take that risk. But I think they would have to move it. It's just a matter of, how much and how long, right? How long is it going to take for them to get around to it?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing like forcing them to do it as soon as possible, right? So I think that's the biggest risk. Yeah, how long is it going to take? And luckily, I don't think it's going to be an issue for us, but it could have been, if we were rocking and rolling months ago. So. All right, well, with that, I think we'll close it up a few minutes early here, but if anyone wants to reach out to myself, to Quality Builders, I can get someone in contact with Landon as well, if anyone is in need of an architect right now or to talk. I think all of us are certainly willing to help however we can. So just wanted to share this last page with you. This is how to contact us right now. So you have our Instagram QR code, our website, where you could also log in for a consultation there. And then lastly, our direct QR code to a consultation. So, we would love to consult you early on, even if you don't have a project. We talk to people all the time, try and, help strategize on different properties or, help you along the process. But certainly if you have a project, throw it our way. We'd love to help give you our detailed estimate and kind of see if we'll be a good fit to helping each other out. I'll leave this on here for a few minutes or two, but I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate all the support. we're going to continue to do these monthly. I do think with the holidays, we might be skipping early January and then resuming early February, but keep a lookout. You should be seeing another invite coming up. I certainly think we'll probably do another walkthrough on this project as we get started in a few months from now, and you can see the progress on this. We like to show the early stages of construction as well as maybe some of the follow-ups. If you joined us for some of our other ones, we're coming to a close on a few of our current projects right now. So look out for some updates on those, and maybe we'll see you at the next one here in February. So thank you all very much. We really appreciate your time. I look forward to hopefully hearing from you guys or seeing you again soon. Landon, thank you. We really appreciate this. I know everyone really appreciates all your answers and all your help on this. It was really, really nice having you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.